You're listening to the Maryland Crabs podcast with John Frenay and my dad, Tim Hamilton. Okay, there, I did it. Give me my phone back.
Live from a grungy kitchen table located in Annapolis, Maryland's scenic and historic capital, it's the Maryland Crabs podcast. With each episode, your hosts, Tim Hamilton, John Frenay, and the occasional guest will dive in and pick apart the stuff that really matters most to you. We're too lazy to actually solve any of these problems, but we can definitely stir the pot. From schools, politics, parking in the fire lane, to those horrible people who drive BMWs. And here with this week's episode, live from the kitchen table, Tim Hamilton and John Frenay.
Oh, Maryland Crabs, we are a local podcast. I made that up right off the top of my head, and John's not here to stop me. John's nowhere near, so he can't stop me from singing, and he can't stop me from drinking on my intro. The thing was that we did a podcast yesterday. We interviewed Liz Thibodeau and Kathleen Booth, who are the organizers of Ignite Annapolis, which is a great event that's going to take place on March 14th. And we're going to talk about how they're taking applications right now for speakers. And we generally do a interview with people like that for about 45 minutes or so. And then we do about 15 minutes worth of introduction and outroduction, the intro and outro. And we usually do it at a later time. And we ran out of time this week. So I thought that since I'm sitting by the fire right now, all alone, kind of cozy in my house, I thought I'd do the intro and leave John out of the equation. So I got a roaring fire. I got my beer. I've got a cat sleeping on my feet. And my wife is hidden up in the bedroom right now watching the Hallmark Channel. So I am a Hallmark Channel widower right now. So she spent the last few weeks glued to white people falling in love. And it's a Christmas miracle. The snow looks really stupid, too. They don't look cold. Like, I think they film these throughout the year because it's become a big business for Hallmark. So they have, I think, 20 or 30 different movies that they make exclusively for the Hallmark Channel. And it's supposed to be winter, but they're filming them in spring and summer. And so it's supposed to be snowy, but you know it's not snowy. I saw two people in one of the episodes yesterday, and they were actually sweating. It was like that scene in It's a Wonderful Life where George Bailey jumps into the river from the bridge, and it's a snowstorm, and I heard it was like 90 degrees that day, and he was sweating buckets. And in MASH, whenever they'd be huddled together, like in blankets, freezing in the mess tent, because it was winter, but you could see trees in the background with green leaves. So I'm not buying any of this. I don't like the Hallmark. I don't like the schmaltz. I like Christmas. I don't like that stuff. I don't like white people Christmas. And before you jump on me, I'm not racist because my wife is white. So I'm totally cool with white people. So that is what I'm doing. Tonight's Midnight Madness. And I don't know if you have ever gone or if you haven't gone in a while, but you got to go down. I went down last weekend, and it was probably the most crowded Midnight Madness I'd ever been to in my 20 years of living here. And that's not to say that it was unpleasant. I actually found secret parking, as all locals know how to do. And it was just wall-to-wall people, and it was just a lot of fun. Everyone was having a blast. The market house was utterly packed. I couldn't get near the bar. Which I was just going to go to order something because I had my daughter with me. But I got the food there. I got this flank steak with chimichurri sauce that was just ridiculous. But it was packed downtown. It was a little quiet at the Big Cheese, and they had a great cheese layout, and they had wine there. So that's the secret spot if you go tonight, is go to the Big Cheese because they have great stuff, and they're not crowded because people tend to stay near Main Street. But support the local vendors and local restaurants. You know, it's a great time. It beats them all. If you haven't gone for a long time, bring the kids down. I really had a blast. I never miss it. I don't think I've missed one in 20 years. And now my kids go down and ditch me because they're too cool for the room. And I don't care. It doesn't hurt me at all. In the meantime, if you haven't listened to TJ Smith, we interviewed him last week. He is the former public information officer for the Baltimore Police. He recently left that position, and right now he's living a life of leisure. He's a man of leisure, figuring out his next move, but he was much beloved. He was a great interview. It was a great time. If you missed that, go back and listen to that. The one before that we did live from Market House, and that was a lot of fun, so if you missed that. And we also have a lot of great crab cakes that we're working on. John's got a bunch under his belt. I don't have as much as John, but I got a few. Yesterday, I posted one that I did with Paula Poundstone, who's the great comic from the 80s and 90s and still fantastic. And she's at the Ram's Head this Saturday. She does a 6:30 show and a 9:30 show. There's not many tickets available, but you might want to check it out. And she's a legend. This is the smallest venue that she does, and she's a lot of fun. My crab cake with her was me basically holding on and her rambling because that's her style. And that's always the bad sign when I'm the quiet one on a podcast. But she is a lot of fun. Also, if you haven't yet subscribed to Annapolis Daily Briefing, John puts a lot of work into those, and he has a daily briefing that lasts about 10 minutes every morning at 7 o'clock during the weekdays. He has your local news. He has your weather with George Young, who does a great job. And I never miss it. I play it on my Alexa. She just went blue. Shh. All right, now she stopped. On my Echo device, so I can listen to it when I'm getting ready for work. But subscribe to that. Subscribe to the Maryland Crabs. Go rate us. Give us a review. It helps with the algorithm. It helps people to find us. It would be a big favor to us. It would be our Christmas gift. You don't have to get us anything else. All you have to do is subscribe, rate us, and review us. That's all you have to do. We're not getting you guys anything because that's how we roll. So you can find us on Facebook. We have a page and we have a group. You can find us on Twitter, where I recently quit, but I am toying with the idea of secretly getting back on. But our Twitter handle is MD Crabs Podcast. You can send us an email at info@themarylandcrabs.com. Our website is themarylandcrabs.com. You can find us on Spotify. You can find us on Google Play. You can find us on Apple Podcasts. You can anything you can stream on, you can find us. We're on YouTube. So there's no excuses for you missing us at all. So with no further ado, and no John to rein me in, after the break, we're going to come back with the Ignite Annapolis team of Liz Thibodeau and Kathleen Booth. It was a great interview. We had a blast.
Here's to the teacher who spends her weekend helping children who need a little extra attention. To the soldier who missed the birth of his baby while serving overseas. To the EMT working full-time and taking night classes. To the police officers and firefighters working long hours away from their families to keep our families safe. Here's to you, our hometown heroes. I'm Alan Hyatt, Chairman and President of Severn Bank, and we know there are many heroes among us. Men and women who serve without expecting anything in return. Which is why we're honored to offer our Hometown Heroes program to educators, law enforcement officers, firefighters, first responders, healthcare workers, and military personnel. Whether you're opening a checking account or buying a new home, we're here to give back to you. Learn more about our Hometown Heroes program at severnbank.com. Severn Bank, here with you.
Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
From Main Street to Maryland Avenue, West Street to Ego Alley, and the circles in between. Shop local this holiday season by shopping at Midnight Madness in historic downtown Annapolis, with all stores open until midnight this Thursday. Post a selfie from Snowflake Alley, sip cocoa on City Dock, visit the baby alpacas, and on every street corner, enjoy dancers, carolers, and music. It's Midnight Madness. Visit DowntownAnnapolisPartnership.org. Midnight Madness is sponsored by the Downtown Annapolis Partnership, Sheehy Lexus of Annapolis, and WRNR.
Hey, we're here with the Maryland Crabs, and Tim is frantically dashing across town because he is just getting off the phone with Paula Poundstone, of all people. But I got the long straw. I got the good one here. I am sitting here at the Commons with Liz Thibodeau and Kathleen Booth, who are two of the brainchildren behind Ignite Annapolis, right? Would that be right?
Right, yeah.
That's right.
2 of 5 of us.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, Ignite, I've always said, now for people that aren't aware of this is sort of like a TED Talk kind of funky way that Annapolis might do it, even though it's not unique to Annapolis, right?
Yes, it's a nationwide...
Worldwide, actually.
Yeah, worldwide program. And it's like a TED Talk, but I like to think it's like kinder and gentler. And it's more about... just igniting conversation and thought, and not so much, it's not necessarily about technology or anything specific. It can be very non-specific, but it's really meant to get communities together to think and talk and have a dialogue.
It's also a really great opportunity for people who've never spoken in public before and who are passionate about something to get up for the first time. It's very, short format, unintimidating. The audience is local.
Okay, wait a minute. I'm going to call bullshit on this. Unintimidating. You're looking out at 1,200 eyeballs looking at you on stage for 5 minutes, and you say that's unintimidating.
Well, it's different than getting up and doing a 45-minute or a 1-hour talk where you have to remember what you're going to say for that length of time. It's 5 minutes. So, if you're going to dip your toe in the water of public speaking, doing it in a 5-minute format for your first shot is much less intimidating than a longer format.
I'll give
to
you
me.
I'll give you that, but I would almost rather do 45 minutes in front of 45 people than 5 minutes in front of 600. But that's but Ignite for, I mean, this is a group of people that get together, and those that weren't there last year, shame on you, you should have been. Those of you who weren't there the year before, same thing, or the year before, or 2 years before, because you skipped the second year or something.
Yeah, we started, Chris Schock started it in 2009. And I was her little helper then. And then there were a couple of years off. And then Chris wanted to start it back up again. And we got the band back together. And Kathleen came on board. And Jen Herson. And Trish Farrell. Now that's the 5 of us.
And you solicit people for topics. And you mentioned that it's not all technology or anything. I mean, I remember last year there were some topics that were just so moving. And Liz, you had done a topic about your father who was in the later stages of life at the time and just what you were going through. And that was just really tugging at the heartstrings. I remember, and I'm going to screw up her name, but who is the executive director of the Volunteer Center, she talked about the straws in the ocean.
Oh, right. And then right after that, like it was the first time I had heard that kind of thing at all.
Annapolis Green is coming out with the push in Annapolis to turn around and go with the paper straws or something else like that. You had a couple people that were just absolutely boring to tears and way over the. I mean, it was.
But
like,
you know what? You would be surprised though, because this is the most interesting thing to me. If you talk to 10 people after that event, you would get 10 different answers about which presentations were really inspiring and exciting and which were boring. There was one in particular, I'm not going to name names, that a couple people said to me, well, that was terrible. That wasn't good. And I had at least 2 people tell me it was their favorite one. And so this is what I love about the event is that we have enough speakers that there's really something for everyone. And if you don't like the presentation, it is only 5 minutes.
It's only 5 minutes
True.
long.
True. And you're absolutely right, because I mean, to me, it was just boring as it all get out. So
not the whole event, I hope.
No. There were 1 or 2 of them.
Yeah.
And the other ones were just absolutely captivating, and some were just meh, which is really kind of part of the beauty of it. And you realize, I mean, you had the 2 high school girls that came in. And they talked about the and I don't remember the topic, but they were putting the Post-it notes on the mirrors.
The kindness project.
Well, that was Bria
Barksdale.
Yeah.
Was it just a single person?
Yeah, and then there were 2 other high school girls
who talked about STEM education.
Yes, right.
Yeah. It was, I mean, that's the second year in a row we had high schoolers from the Anne Arundel County Public School System, because we have a great relationship with the schools. And so they really encourage students to apply. And Bria just blew us away.
Yeah.
Hey, look what the cat drove in.
Hey, thanks for waiting.
Nice of you to show up for the interview, Tim.
Well, let me tell you what I've been doing. Let's make this about me for a second. So
why should it be any different?
Interviewing Paula Poundstone, the comedian, coming in, and I have her on my phone because we hook up to something called a mix minus. That's what we call it in the biz. And it's our phone connected to the mixer so we can hear someone on the phone. So anything that comes in on your phone will be picked up by the recording. So I'm trying to interview a mildly unfocused comedian who's coming in, only to have my podcast partner text me several times to see if he can have the beep appear on the recording. That is the commitment to quality and excellence.
And did it go through?
That John Fernay. No, because I know he's an ass, so I had my phone on Do Not Disturb.
But you don't know that beep didn't go through yet. We'll see. You'll see when you start to edit it.
Well, that's where my meticulous editing skills come.
Well, Tim, actually, we did tell them that you were talking with Paul and you were dashing across town. But we were just talking about the Ignite talks, and
about how John was bored to tears by a few of them.
There were a couple that were just,
That's nice, John. This is why I have to be here during all podcasts to make sure he doesn't insult our guests.
There totally are some of them that are like that. But again, the topics can be anything. They can be nonsensical. They can be deep analytical quantum physics.
Yeah, what we hope that topics are something that you're, not necessarily passionate about, but something that blows your mind and you just want to tell other people about it. That's just interesting. And
I saw the first one I ever saw was probably about 5 or 6 years ago, because this is, all over the country. Yeah. And it was a young guy in his 20s is how to win at Scrabble. Mm-hmm. And he did, his 5 minutes and 20 slides on how to win at Scrabble. And then that's why I destroy John every time we play.
I could use that lesson, I was going to say.
I destroy you using the cheats.
I don't mind, because I saw this Ignite.
But, and again, the concept of this is you get up there, and Kathleen, you mentioned that it's only 5 minutes, and she was proceeding to tell us earlier that looking at 600 people looking back at you for 5 minutes is not intimidating, but that's...
Less intimidating than 45 minutes or an hour.
When the lights are really bright.
But also,
if
the light is shining in your face, it could be 600 people or 6. You wouldn't know the difference.
Right. And this is, you've got 5 minutes to speak.
Yeah.
And you present 15 slides.
Yeah. Do you want me to give a little in a nutshell?
Tell us about this.
So first of all, right now we have first of all, our tickets are on sale. Real detailed information is at igniteannapolis.com. Tickets are on sale and speaker applications are open. And all we want right now is your idea, your concept. We're not looking for
the final product.
So this
is a science fair sort of level.
Yes. This is your pitch for your concept. And a panel of very, very good secret judges goes through them all, and they try to select. Last year we had 16. We had 8.
16 applicants.
Yeah. No, we chose 16.
Oh, yes.
8 in the first half intermission, then 8 in the second half. So anyway, you pitch your concept, and if you're selected, you will be notified by January 31st, and then you'll have 2 weeks to get your presentation together. The presentation is 5 minutes long. It's 20 PowerPoint slides that will be on auto rotation every 15 seconds. So you're not driving your deck. You're not up there with your laptop moving your slides.
But you're keeping up with it.
Yeah. So as I was a presenter last year for the first time, what I learned, and we're going to have a little practice. We're going to have a little meeting with the selected speakers to give them some tips.
Pointers.
Yeah. Your words should be what is interesting, and the slides should be an enhancement to the concept. So visual is really good.
Charts and diagrams.
No death by PowerPoint.
Lots of
bullets.
no
bullet lists.
And if it's just images and you screw up, no one is going to notice.
Right. I love PowerPoint when people have PowerPoint and they read to me what's on the screen.
Exactly. Yes.
Can you read that's right in front of all of us out loud?
I got it. Yeah. So it's not that. It's not a PowerPoint. It's 15 images, 20 images that go with your 5 minutes.
Right. And again, if you do it smart, I mean, the woman that had done the straws last year, I mean, she could just have 15 slides of animals that have been messed up by straws and the dirt in the ocean, and it could just sort of flow. And it didn't matter where she was in the presentation.
Exactly.
I don't know. I think the challenge level, you have to make it like where you have to keep up. I like to see people kind of stumble.
You do need to keep up in the sense that, like, we're fairly strict on time. Like, you can't just take up twice your allotted amount of time because the program is very tightly, scripted in that sense. And so you have to keep up only in the sense that you can't let the time run away with you.
Now, how many people do we have in these typically?
16. 8. We do 8 in the first half and then an intermission and another 8. And we were polling the audience last year. Some people thought the evening went on too long. What did you think?
I was ready to stay for another hour.
Good answer.
Boring and not. Boring and dry and not. No, I mean, I really did. I mean, even I hate to go back to the ones that I didn't really particularly care for. But as you mentioned earlier, it was only 5 minutes. I'm sitting here sort of going like, wow, I wonder what they're going to talk about next.
Yeah.
And I'm looking through the program going like, oh, there's only 2 left?
Right.
And you do kind of go from, I don't know, my experience is you go from like laughing to crying to like fascinated. And it's a little bit of a healthy roller coaster of emotions because, the topics vary so widely.
Yeah.
What I like is that I only saw the first year. Last year I was, I think I was at a soup kitchen or something that night. I'm going to give her Kathleen. So it was... I went when it was in the basement of Maryland Hall, and it was packed.
Yeah.
I mean, elbow to elbow.
Room only, yeah.
And it was watching the bullpen, because, the people who give the talks
sitting on the benches.
They're all sitting on, they're all sitting like this little section, and they all got like their papers or whatever. And it's people just like us. So it's it's very relatable. And you saw people who looked nervous, people who would wing it, the mayor. But it was you could relate to them because they looked a little bit nervous in getting up there. So it wasn't like you were going to some professional presentation. It's not like a TED Talk.
No.
Where it's, TED Talk, they got the little headset mic and you're about to get some enlightened shit all of a sudden.
Right.
This is really raw. I like this.
It is. And it's like everybody in that bullpen, it's like you move up a seat and everything and you're like, what the heck did I do? Why did I do this? why did I sign up for this? But then it's really exhilarating when you're...
Well, you lock in. I mean, I think
Yeah.
anytime you do any sort of public speaking, like in front of a large group, you're like, I don't want to do this. I don't want to do this. And like, as soon as you get that mic, it's just, you shut off.
Well, and it's very interesting because we've had a lot of conversations behind the scenes about the speaker application process. And we've always just asked, as Liz said, for the topic. And we had a discussion this year. Well, should we ask people if they have it to submit a video of themselves speaking? And we kind of were like, I mean, we could, but at the end of the day, we don't want to restrict this to experienced speakers, to really polished people, because this is deliberately meant to be an entry point for people who are not professional speakers, who are just into something and they're passionate about it and they want to get up and talk about it. So you do get a bit of a mixed bag. And I think that's okay. Mm-hmm. You know, it's great to see some of these people who are first-time speakers get up there and they might stumble a little, but they conquer their fear. I mean, I've had so much fun watching a few people who I know personally get up and do it, who haven't spoken before, and they leave and they're like, I want to do it again. That was amazing. And it's like so cool to see the light bulb go off for them.
How long ago did you start this process?
2009. Chris Schock started it. And we were at the Lowe's...
Powerhouse.
The Powerhouse, right.
So here is a friend of mine in another life. I worked with him. We were very close. And this was, I showed him one of these because I thought it was a great concept, because this one kind of exploded in 2006, 2007. Mm-hmm. And we heard rumors is coming to Annapolis. And every year he's like, I want to do it. Mm-hmm. We're going to do it together. We're going to do this. And unfortunately he passed away. And I remember when I saw him right before the time before he died, he shook his head. He said, he just wrote down, because he had ALS, and he just says, we're not going to get through the Ignite. And I was like, but that was
so sad.
But I didn't mean to bring the room down.
What was the topic?
He wasn't sure. He wasn't sure. He was a visual designer, merchandiser. So he was responsible for just magic. Think like Macy's the day after Christmas or the day after Thanksgiving. Yeah. That he just created magic, and he had a rough life. He made some mistakes, but he wanted to talk about finding beauty in ordinary places. Mm-hmm. And he said we have to do something about that. And I was like, I don't know, man. You're a lot more romantic than I am. But
I think you ought to do it.
Do it. You should do it.
Here's what I'll do.
In his honor.
Do it for him.
Here's what I can do is you can give me 20 slides, unprepared, and I will wing it.
Oh, that'd be an interesting.
You could do that.
I will do that.
The Seinfeld-esque, this is a 5-minute talk about nothing.
I will. You give me 20 slides, and I will wing it. And
I love
we can see if anybody knows.
Last time that somebody did that, he got elected mayor.
Zing.
Gavin Buckley, when he did the TED Talk, he was all over the place when he was doing it.
Oh, his Ignite Talk?
Yes.
Yeah, talking about reviving West Street.
Right.
From Red Light District to Arts District?
Yeah.
Red Light District. But he was all over. I mean, the slides, who knew? It was pretty fun.
But again, that's part of what you get with these talks. Yeah. Some people are very prepared, others are less. You never know what you're going to get. And the other thing is the topics. Some people come with very inspired topics. Like Liz's topic was amazing and inspiring and profound.
But that's not even what it started out
Which
to
was
be.
yours?
I was caring for my father in the final stages of his life. Yeah.
But then we have other people who come, and we had one person, like Liz Murphy, talked about blogging. We had another person talk about how you stay organized. Things that wouldn't seem profound or exciting, but some of those talks were some of the best talks. And it's funny because it's all how those people decide to tell the story.
Well, it's riveting. I mean, you wouldn't think you get sucked into it. I was sucked into the Scrabble one. Mm-hmm. The secret of winning Scrabble. You know what the secret is?
Yeah.
What?
No, I do. I said
two-letter words.
Yes, I want to know, but I don't know what it is.
You have to know all your two-letter words. Huh. You don't care, do you?
I mean, I do have a 12-year-old, and so this knowledge could come in handy.
Scrabble's very mature people.
What do you guys? How do you select out of the bucket? I mean, do you always look for something that's a little bit scientific, per se, or analytic and humorous or deep or anything like that, or is it just something that pops into your mind and says, hey, that might be interesting?
The process is very technical. First of all,
get the darts out.
5 of us sit around a table and we open lots of wine.
Okay.
And we all we know is the pitch sentence, a couple of sentences. And
is that a blind one for you? I mean, do you know? I mean, Liz,
we don't know the people's names.
Okay, so because you mentioned you knew a lot of people that had done it, Kathleen.
Oh,
and,
yeah.
I mean, so when you're...
But no, when we're reviewing, we just look at the topics.
The spreadsheet, we just look at the topics. And actually, we generally all individually at home rank them
1 to 3
on our own without knowing who the person is. And then we all get together. Then we open the wine. And then we look at how the numbers fell. And usually it's kind of interesting. But I know personally, I like to find things that are a little bit different. And, it doesn't matter if it's scientific or not scientific, just like something that makes me go, that's interesting. But we didn't say the one rule is it cannot be a sales pitch.
Yeah.
It can't be.
Yeah, one of them snuck in last year.
Yes, 1.5, I think, did.
Yeah, I mean,
you gotta give him credit though. That's smooth.
I think the other thing that we look for, like if we rank, as Liz said, we rank all the presentations on a scale of 1 to 3, like 1 being our number one choice, 3 being our last choice. And then when we come together, we look at, certain presentations immediately emerge as everybody ranked at a 1. And then there's those where, everybody ranked at a 3, and those are easy to eliminate. It's the ones in the middle that are kind of
duke it out
on the fence. And sometimes at that point, what it comes down to is diversity. Like if we have too many people wanting to talk about the environment, we might decide maybe to not pick one of those and to choose a different topic so that we at least have some variety. But if we have, if a presentation scores well, it gets in regardless of topic. Mm-hmm. If it's one of those ones that gets all 1s.
What's your age limit? Can you have...
we have high school kids. Mm-hmm. And then I don't know how old our oldest person has ever been, but there's no...
I would say anybody I would take a younger child if they wanted to get
I'm just thinking there's that one kid that lives in Annapolis that's Maddie, something with this little rapper kid.
Oh, he performed 2 years ago.
In the basement, yeah.
He was our opening act when the year he was on Ellen.
Yeah. Yeah. Or, what it's like to, be a child star, if you will, or something like that from Annapolis would be kind of neat. So there's no age limit there. No. It's just the creativity that you come up with. Yeah. What's your one that stands out for you? Do you remember, Liz?
Bria Barksdale about kindness.
Okay.
Yeah, and it was the same for me. And we as a group actually were so moved that we took some of the proceeds of the event. It is a nonprofit event, and so we raised this money, and we need to do something with it, and we actually wound up...
I thought I went to your wine.
No, exactly.
Once all of our
have
expenses
much
are
better
covered.
wine if that were the case. We actually gave a scholarship for her.
Bria.
A college scholarship.
Yeah, she's at UMBC, and we did that. Yep.
You record
That's
these?
Fantastic.
Do you record these?
Yes, igniteannapolis.com. There's a page with last year's video, all in the year before too.
And they go to YouTube. They're all
on YouTube
as well.
Yeah.
They're fascinating. I remember the first one I went to, I guess it was 3 years ago. And you had the ones from the first year.
Yeah.
And I just sat there. It was like 5 minutes, YouTube. This is great. This is probably before the ads that the YouTube was injected.
Right.
That was, so you could sit there and watch them all. But it was really fascinating.
That was the year somebody did one about kayaking. Lessons in life you learn on your kayak.
Yeah, and there was a great one about bees and solar energy.
Oh, the bees one was good. I remember that one.
Yeah, there's a lot of them.
And I remember Anna Nardone talked about living in the gray.
Yeah. Yes.
And she's her gray life, and she's got a child with Downs, and dealing with that and everything else. It was just really very fascinating stuff, and to see some of the people that you may know but you would never expect to see up on stage is kind of neat.
It was kind of like a real high for me at not halftime. What do you call it? Intermission. Yeah. To go. We worked with Maryland Hall to have little beer and wine and soft drinks and
best invention ever at Maryland Hall is
yes. Booze. But just to walk around and we finally all would connect, how's it going? Is it going okay? And all of that, and just to hear all the conversation in the little pods around the cocktail room, that's what it's about.
Yeah,
starting conversations.
And it's also my favorite part, honestly, piggybacking on that, is when you go out into the hallway and you see and hear all the friends and neighbors of the people who spoke, how excited and proud they are to have seen this person that they've they know as a friend, but they maybe have never seen on stage, and that if they've never seen speak about their topic, do so publicly. It's incredible seeing that other dimension of our friends and neighbors.
Well, I think because it gives a voice to people that they wouldn't normally have. I mean, I think about this a lot. I think about this with my kids, as I watch them in the phone all the time. But it's everybody. It's not, I mean, I used to be a 2-book a week kind of guy, just voraciously read, and I never read anymore because you always had the phone for the short snippets of Twitter or for the latest article or the latest outrage, because we all love being outraged now. So we can look at the kids and say, they're buried in these phones. And I feel sorry for them because at least we had our lives before this. We understand it. But I thought, when was the last time that a kid picks up a guitar out of boredom, or they learn something because they have something in them that they can put out there? Like they learn how to draw, they learn how to paint, they learn how to play piano, or just by fooling around, not by proper lessons. So I mean, how many people go to these mindless droning like jobs that they just worry about getting paid, and they got to shuttle their kids around, and they do have something to say, and they find out they got something in them. Maybe it's something silly, maybe it's something personal, maybe it's something about the environment. But it's like really cool seeing your neighbor that you get together at the parties, and you're like, your lawn looks good. Yeah, your lawn looks good. How are you guys doing? We're busy. Good, busy, but good. It's just those shallow conversations, and you see that person on stage talking about something, maybe not even passionately, but you're like, they had something more to say than they're busy, or lacrosse is good and works fine. And, I think that's what it is. That's what's different.
Yeah. And the one that stood out for me in that regard was last year, Suzanne Conti Martin got up and spoke, and she does unbelievable, selfless work with the immigrant community and advocating for immigrant rights. And she's somebody who I've known socially in town, and she doesn't talk about it a lot.
Nope.
But boy, she's like an angel on earth. And when she got up and she shared some of what she's been doing, it's amazing to see, like, your friends and neighbors are doing incredible things, and that's a great opportunity to get to shine a light on it.
And I think it's inspiring too. Yeah. I'm sure there were more than a handful of people in that audience that thought, "What the heck do I do?"
Right.
Yeah.
What mark am I making on the world?
Well, that's kind of the point. Is it makes you kind of examine what you're thinking, what you're doing. There's something. I don't know if you're into movies, or when was the last time you saw a movie that moved you, or even a painting or dancing? I mean, it's very difficult to find something like that. But I think when it says it moves you, it makes you think about yourself and your place in the world in the context of who you are. I mean, you come away from that thinking. I went to the banquet for the fundraiser for CASA. That's the Court-Appointed Special Advocates. And I tell you what, you come away from that just feeling like, oh my God, I really got to do something to make this place a better world, because all these people are doing it already, and that's good.
Well, and then to the point of like hearing somebody speak who and you didn't have any idea that they had these thoughts, or that they felt this way about things, or making the world a better place. In my own experience, my adult children came, and they were very much living the same life I was, taking care of my own father. They, every day knew what I was doing and everything. And then I gave that presentation, and they all came up to me. My son, my daughters were a little bit more clicked in with how it was affecting me. And my son kind of did, but, it was also the year he was getting married, and there was a lot going on. And he came up to me, and he was, very teared up and said, I had no idea. I have to step up. I have to help you. And it was like, it inspired him to help his little corner of the world. Never mind like the big world, but like, wait, my own mother is struggling here right in front of me. And it took her getting up on a stage for me to see that,
That's fantastic. That's incredible.
I find Ignite is kind of like the live version of Radio Lab.
Yes.
Where you're looking at an aspect of something you've never thought about, like, do trees communicate? And
right.
I never thought about it before, but apparently they do. And you're being exposed to ideas. I mean, some of them are fairly shallow. That's
sure.
And which is fine, because that's what it's meant to be. I don't mean that in a pejorative way, but there's some that just you've never thought about. The bees is like one of those things that everyone always hears about, and you never think about it. And you have someone there giving you their perspective. You're like, I didn't know anything about this.
Yeah, we had somebody last year talking about like chaos theory, and
that's why I love chaos theory.
It's just there's something for everyone, as I said earlier. one of those topics may not be your cup of tea, but there's bound to be 5 others that are.
I was joking,
and
Dan.
in 5 minutes, it'll be over. And there'll be another one.
And to that point, I sometimes, and I don't know what's going to happen this year, but there's been a lot of politics this year. A lot of things, that are going to be, the world to me this year has been very black and white, just divisive, and I think there are going to be I hope topics come through that make me mad, and they should be.
It's a great topic. Yeah.
Voted on. Just because I don't feel that way, I would never rank it a 3 because I don't want to hear about it.
Right.
And I hope those kind of topics come out.
That's how problems get solved in the world. I mean, somebody's got to be mad about it, and get talking about it, and that's sort of like the core of what's happening here.
Right.
How many? Can you tell us about any of the topics that you've received so far?
No.
One other glass of wine. But if you want to subscribe, if you want to stand up on stage, go check out the old YouTube things. And but igniteannapolis.com. And is there a form to fill out?
Yeah, there's a speaker application form. It's tiny. It'll take 2 minutes. And really all we're looking for is your idea. And we will help you along the way with the presentation. There's no need to be upset.
So I can throw out watching grass grow.
Yes.
You could.
And
yes.
That's all I need to tell you at that point. Then I need to figure out how I'm going to talk about
Now, I would suggest that you write your pitch in a way that makes it seem like watching grass grow will be interesting. Because remember, we're comparing this to all the other pitches we do get.
Right.
So, I will say that how you write your pitch does matter, because we've had some people in the past who, we find out after we do the evaluation who submitted. And sometimes you look at it and you're like, wow, I know that person. They would have been great. But they didn't take the time to write a good pitch and say why this topic mattered. And so it didn't get selected. So how you write your pitch matters.
What's a sample of a good pitch?
Oh, boy. You're making us come up with this on the fly? Come on now.
Just...
You got 5 minutes, 15 slides?
It's 20. It's 20.
I'll tell you one. I know for a fact that there's one pitch this year that has to do with public housing in Annapolis. Okay. And I think, to me, that's an incredibly provocative topic, and I think if it's about framing it in a way where you get us thinking, like, what is the viewpoint you're bringing? Is there a certain message you're trying to send? Are you looking at it from a certain point of view?
Okay, well, I'm trying to help some people here. Okay, so I'm talking about public housing in Annapolis, and I can certainly put public housing in Annapolis in the form box.
You can say...
And that's boring, but I can sit there and say public housing, how the city is getting rid of public housing in Annapolis by systematically doing whatever it is, or how the city has really improved public housing. Or
you could say Annapolis has struggled for years with its public housing. There's much debate about the solutions, but I'll be talking about this one, format that I believe could solve the public housing crisis once and for all. Okay. Man, like if I heard that, I'd be like, well, I want to hear that talk in 5 minutes or less.
And there's an element of trust, because people will, in their pitch, do a little description like that, and then, they're selected, and we don't really see the presentation. I'll see the slides because I'm the one that puts them together to auto-rotate and all of that. But what their words are, we don't hear it until the evening of.
You don't get a script or anything?
No, and we have debated this back and forth this year, actually, about if we had the script, we could vet for the sales pitch thing. But we went full circle. That is not what this is about. We're not here to vet you or
police the script.
The script. We trust you, and if you break that trust and you have a big sales pitch up there, you're the heel. That's.
I think one of the best pitches I ever saw, and it was kind of similar. It wasn't a pitch. I mean, it was a title. I took a magazine writing class in college. It's like 30 years ago, and it was. The teacher was trying to impart upon us the importance of an angle on the story. And we were all coming up with stories for this, and just no one was getting it. And one guy did an article about why America needs an enemy to sustain itself. That peace is not good for us as a cultural meme. That we need someone to target. And I think that's particularly apropos right now, because you see that where it's that sense of other. But I mean, it's finding a topic and then finding the twist on it. He could talk about like American aggression in the world or something. He goes, no, that has nothing to do with exerting power. It's something that it's our national identity. It's us versus blank. Yeah. So I mean, that to me is like a pitch. So watching grass grow, is hazardous to your health, something like that, or will make your eyes explode.
Yeah, I would say when I think about, because sometimes when we meet, we do talk about our wish list of topics. Like, I wish somebody would come in and talk about these things, some of which have never been covered before. To me, I love to see a mix of things that are very hot topics locally in Annapolis, because this is a community-based event, and I would love to see voices come in that maybe aren't voices we often hear, but with their unique take on something that we're all talking about in town. But then I also like things that have nothing to do with Annapolis,
right,
like the bees or straws. I mean, you could draw a connection, but they're not necessarily Annapolis-based topics. They're more universal. And so I think having a mix of those things makes for a really interesting evening.
Maybe you ought to put a bucket list of all of your wish topics and solicit somebody that's willing to reach in, grab one, and take whatever he pulls out. That'd be a little bit of a challenge.
Presentation. Yeah. That would be good.
Well, last year during the thing, you added a fancy and a great choice of MC in Rob Tim from WRNR.
Rob is wonderful.
And I worked with Rob in the morning show for about 2 years or so. And I mean, he is sharp, smart, funny, was a really good choice for that. And he kept it, he really kept it moving there. And really that's the first time you had the MC, right?
Yeah, I think we just ran it ourselves before. Yeah.
And Rob is coming back for 2019.
I know. I saw the promo video that you guys
did. Promo together.
He's great. Yeah.
That is. Well, I know that he had a great time on that. That was a lot of fun there. IgniteAnnapolis.com and get your pitches in. What are the dates again, Liz?
January 15th is the speaker deadline just for the ideas.
Okay.
And did I say 18? 15. 15. And we'll let you know on the 31st, and then we'll guide you through getting your presentation put together. We have a deadline for the slides of February 15th-ish, just because I need time to put 16 presentations together, because we put them all kind of in the same slide housing and all of that. And we also, last year, live streamed. Yep. And we're going to do that again this year.
Yeah, and we would be remiss. There's a couple of things that we should mention. We would be remiss if we didn't talk about them.
Well, we don't want you to be remiss, so please.
So one is that we are still soliciting sponsors. The event's going to be in the main auditorium at Maryland Hall. And I don't know the exact capacity, but we can probably squeeze 650 to 700 people in between the bottom floor and the balcony.
It's 846.
We're going to lose some space because
we need
we
need tech in the balcony, but not all of it.
Yeah. So
that's an intimidating crowd.
Our goal is to fill the room. Last year we had about 450 people come, and the reason we're looking to fill the room is that this is a nonprofit and we do raise money. And so
what do tickets cost?
$10.
Okay. Oh, big bucks.
I know. It's a big night out. So this year and going forward, we've made the decision that we're going to be donating all proceeds from the event this year and in the future to the Capital Gazette Memorial Scholarship Fund at the University of Maryland School of Journalism. We just felt like the mission of this event has to do with elevating local voices and inspiring the community. And based on what happened with the Capitol last year, we felt like that was what those journalists were all about.
Free speech.
Was shining the light on the community and inspiring people. And so we are so excited about
fantastic.
That. So if you're interested in sponsoring, we will have a huge crowd. I guarantee it. And sponsorship is not expensive, and the money goes to an amazing, amazing cause.
That's a great cause.
And the last thing I would be remiss if I did not mention is that we have an incredible nonprofit partnership with the Friends Foundation. So this gets into the technicalities of nonprofit fundraising, but we couldn't accept payment for tickets unless we had a bank account. You can't have a bank account unless you're a registered nonprofit. So we work with the Friends Foundation, which is a local nonprofit. They basically allow us to just channel the money through them, and they don't take a cut.
I think you're talking about money laundering, right?
They don't take a cut, although I think we did decide we're going to reserve a certain amount of money for them to give to the charity of their choice as well. But they've been so generous with us that I just wanted to make sure I got that in. Was there anyone I missed?
No, it's you're exactly right. It's interesting. I think Kathleen, Trish, Chris, Jen, all of us have been on these committees and all these other things where we're trying to sell sponsorships, and it's like big ticket things, and we're push, and this one really isn't about the money. It's about the evening, and the concept. And the happy bonus is that it also fundraises. So that's why the tickets are $10. We want everybody to be able to come. Yeah. And so the sponsorship, pays for the venue and helps us keep the program going. So the more sponsorships we sell and the more tickets we sell, it's going to go straight to the scholarship fund.
Well, I'll tell you, I do think you're not going to have a problem selling out because, as Tim said, 2 years ago you were in the basement of Maryland Hall, which probably had a capacity of about,
they put us in the basement because I don't think there was a lot of faith. And then we were turning people away.
It was like, oh, God, you're here again.
The crowd just spilling out in the hall. It was funny.
And then last year we wanted the big auditorium, and they were like, well, and then I remember being just so worried. What if we only sell 100 tickets? And they're all. Do we make them all sit up front? That we actually had this conversation. Yeah. Do we push everybody to the front, and then it sold out?
Make it look. Well, I know. I talked to Margaret Davis, and that was somewhat one of her first big events that had gone because she had come in I guess in November of the year prior, and she was just absolutely thrilled with the way it turned out. And I mean, I love what Maryland Hall, and I've always got to put a plug into Maryland Hall because they've just such a variety of things they've got. Ram's Head's throwing big name acts in there when they need more space than the 300 seats they've got in there. We've got Ignite Annapolis. There's Maryland Hall brings in artists. They've got the symphony and obviously the resident things. They've got new residents and artists in residence, not residents and artists. But that have come in there and the camps and everything else. And they've really focused on the arts and entertainment community in town. I think they're just such a huge asset for being a high school that was a 1934.
Yeah. And Margaret Davis has been great. As you said, she came in right before our last event. I think she was as blown away as we were by the crowd. She reached out to us immediately and said, I want to work with you guys next year. Yep. And this year, if you came last year, you'll be excited to know that this year we're going to have 2 galleries opened each with their own bar. So at intermission, the drink lines will be much shorter than they were last year. And we always provide food. We didn't say that. We always provide a catered spread during intermission. So for $10, it really is an incredible value. You can come early if you want to have a drink or a bite to eat before the show starts as well. So
you come early if you want to get a parking spot.
True.
Otherwise, you're going to be parking way over in Bates. But
now, when's the event? When's the actual event?
March 14th.
March 14th. What day is that?
It's a Thursday.
Oh, that's a good day. You call off sick the next day, you have the whole weekend.
It is one of the fun events that I look forward to. This is going to be just before the Annapolis Film Festival, I believe, which is coming in at the end of March. I think it's
and just before the opera, because we are going to be in front of the curtain at Maryland Hall because the opera set will be behind the curtain.
I think we should have the curtain open. It would be so
that
cool
would be really
to see the opera set. And it's also the Thursday before St. Patty's Day.
Ooh. So. You could throw a wrench into the works for those people there and say, okay, well, not only do you have to do 5 minutes and 20 slides, you have to do it in opera. There you go. Pull back
in
the
Italian.
Figaro or whatever.
Right.
But that's, March 14th, definitely go here and do this. This is a great thing to do, a midwinter respite from whatever the doldrums that you're in.
It requires nothing of you, just to open your mind and listen.
It's casual, so you don't have to get off. Not that Annapolis gets fancy for anything, but you don't have to get all dressed up like you're going to the opera or looking like that. It's come as you are. It's a lot of fun, guaranteed to open your mind and get you thinking.
And it's a family event. There are people who bring their children. I don't know that I would bring a very, very young child unless they were pretty mature, just because they might get bored. But I think for high schoolers, even some middle schoolers, it's an awesome night to come with your parents.
And it's a great place to bring your parents too. Older people.
You mean the crotchety old ones that are stuck in their way?
The ones that are much older than us. But I think I think about that too. And then tickets are on sale now. I know I already said that, but there is a possibility that it will sell out.
I think it's a good possibility because, like I said, we had 450 people last year. Capacity is going to be somewhere between 650 and 7. So do not wait to get your ticket.
Christmas gifts.
Mm-hmm. And again, $10 is a fairly easy thing for anybody. Or for most people, anyhow.
I'll make my money back in drinking.
That is true. Okay, March 14th, igniteannapolis.com. If you've got a pitch, get it in there before the end or the middle of January, and they will let you know by the end of January whether you made the cut. If you want to bribe the judges, I know 2 of them, and I can probably tell you where they live or work. They work for wine.
I like rosé, and so does Liz.
In the winter, I'm a Malbec. So.
There you go.
But and certainly, if anybody wants to sponsor this is a great opportunity to get your name. I mean, you've got the what do the sponsors get? Like the program, obviously, they get mentioned.
Website,
throughout.
And then we have a slideshow as people are being seated, and a thank you from the stage.
Can they get up and dance or anything?
No.
I'll just sort of throw it out there,
we don't have a title sponsor because truly, unlike some of those other events, this is really about the people that come and speak on the stage. The sponsors are there to sponsor the evening, but and they get their shout out visually.
Right. Absolutely. Well, March 14th, I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to hearing Rob Tim once again MC it. I'm looking forward to hearing what the topics are. And I think maybe as we get a little bit closer, if you can divulge some of the general ideas of the topics, we might be able to tease that in some future podcasts or something like that. But
we could do a live voting session.
Maybe after we pick
there you go.
our short list of 16, we can let you know what we'll be covering.
That's right. Come up with 17 and we'll cut one of them.
Yeah.
Well, Liz Thibodeau, what is your title with this whole thing?
Oh,
bottle washer?
We don't have titles. I'm in charge of it.
Okay.
No, we're all just...
She's my boss.
Unless screws up, and then that would be Kathleen.
Exactly.
We all have roles to play. I handle the event, the evening, like the tech and the slideshows and all of that stuff.
I do the marketing. Trish Farrell works on sponsorship along with Chris Schock, and Jen Herson is like... I feel like everything else. Yeah. That girl works hard, and she doesn't even live in Annapolis.
She and I do the website. Jen is in charge of the surveys and the email pushes. Jen and Chris. So yeah, everybody. We just share the load.
So you have to be female to be on that little organizing committee. Apparently?
Yes.
Okay. Throw that out.
But we are looking for volunteers.
There's my Ignite talk.
Yes, we're looking for volunteers to help, particularly the night of.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, volunteers get free
tickets.
And
what do the volunteers do? Just
we need help,
rallying speakers, helping be at the front door of Maryland Hall, directing people, taking payment at the door if there are still tickets left, scanning people's tickets when they come in. There's all kinds of jobs. We will put you to work.
Yeah.
Well, there you go. Volunteer, sponsor, certainly attend Ignite Annapolis. It's the 4th one. And there was talk last time. I keep wanting to end, but then we stopped. There was talk last year.
What do you mean
twice a year, right?
Yes, last year we thought about doing it twice a year, but
we had some people ask us to do it more often. But then we came to our senses.
It's a lot for us because we're all also working and running businesses and stuff. So
right, you're working on your own nonprofits.
Well, I'm doing really well at my nonprofit.
And you want to get really great talks, and so I think waiting and doing it once a year, you get a really great group of people apply to speak, and you get to pick the best ones. So,
and I love this. Last year it was in February 12, I think. And this year's March. I like that kind of it's between, it's spring.
Well, it's the winter. You need something. Mm-hmm. I mean, March. Actually, this is probably pretty good because this is the legislators are just about ready to crawl out of town. I think about that time. So, so that's good. All right, go get your tickets at igniteannapolis.com, and we'll see you on the 14th of March.
And that was Liz Thibodeau and Kathleen Booth from Ignite Annapolis. And we have a special guest who just came into my study, who's supposed to be in bed, my daughter Bella.
Hey, kids.
And so what are you doing up so late, babe?
I don't know. You let me.
What do you think about the Ignite episode? You think it was really good?
I didn't watch it.
You didn't listen to it, baby. This is a podcast. You don't watch podcasts. They don't teach you that in school? No. What am I paying for?
My education.
What's that all over your face?
It's a mask.
It's gunk. Why do you have gunk on your face?
Because it's good for me.
You're embarrassing me in front of this whole crowd, baby.
There's nobody listening to your podcast.
Go to your room. We have hundreds of thousands of listeners. This pays for your education.
You're not that popular.
Oh, I'm so popular.
The only people who listen to this is your mom, and that's only because she feels bad.
No, she does not feel bad. She doesn't even like me. Do you have a podcast when you get older?
No.
Why not?
I don't want to end up like you.
Do you follow us on Facebook?
How old are you, like 50?
We have a page and a group.
I don't really care.
Do you follow us on Twitter? We're at MD Krabs Podcast. Do you want to send us an email at info@themarylandkrabs.com?
No.
Do you want to go to themarylandkrabs.com to find all of our past episodes?
No.
Then what good are you?
I'm your daughter.
Go to bed.
This has been the Maryland Krabs Podcast with Tim Hamilton and John Fernay. Sure to follow them in all the regular places, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and online at themarylandkrabs.com. Take a moment to rate us on iTunes. Now, get the hell out of my kitchen. Seriously, go!
You're still here? It's over. Go home. Go.